Hi, everyone. Glad to have you here. This is the place where we share real horror stories that will make you think twice before turning off the lights. If you enjoyed true creepy experiences, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now let's get into today's story.
One night, about 20 years ago, my daughter was just 5 years old. I left home to do some shopping. I was getting groceries and was going to stop and get my daughter a birthday present as well. She would be turning 6 in a few days. She stayed home with my husband, and I went by myself to get the toys. I stopped by Toys R Us late at night. I don't remember exactly what time, but it must have been close to closing because things were very quiet. I knew one thing I wanted to get for my daughter for sure, but I was also looking around to see if there was anything else good. I don't even remember what toys they were. Probably stuffed animals or something related to cute critters. After a little while, I was standing in one aisle by myself when I noticed a man at the end of it. He was wearing a large black coat and a strange-looking hat. He was just standing there, looking at me. Immediately, this struck me as suspicious. I'm not a paranoid person, but it seemed odd. I pretended not to notice him, but out of the corner of my eye, I could see that he was still watching me. After a while, he walked away and I moved on. I shopped for about 15 more minutes and didn't see the man again. I checked out and left the store. The parking lot was dark and quiet. As I walked toward my vehicle, I noticed an SUV parked right next to mine. It was dark gray, possibly a Suburban. With so many open spaces, it felt strange that it was parked so close and it hadn't been there before. As I got closer, one of the SUV's doors opened on the far side. I thought about stopping, but decided to keep going. Then I saw the same man from the store walk around the SUV. That was enough for me to turn around and run back to the store. Unfortunately, not long after I made it inside, the man entered the store as well. I decided to go deeper into the aisles. I saw him walking around in the distance, moving in my general direction. I started weaving through random aisles. Occasionally, I'd see him somewhere nearby, but not directly on my heels. I wasn't sure if he was trying to seem casual or if he couldn't find me. I called my husband and told him what was going on. He said he would be there right away. We lived less than 10 minutes away, so I kept moving around to buy time. I even picked out another toy for my daughter and went to the counter to stall. While I was paying, I saw the man get in line right behind me with no items in his hands. When I left the checkout area, I saw my husband's car parked right across from mine. The man followed me out, and I could hear his footsteps behind me. My husband began walking toward me, and as soon as the man saw him, he quickly changed direction, headed for his SUV, jumped inside, and drove away. After that, we went home. I'm grateful my husband was there. The man was much larger than me, and I didn't carry pepper spray back then. I started carrying it after that, but nothing like this has happened since.
Last summer, I decided to take a break from my busy life and go hiking in the woods near my town. I usually hiked alone, but this time I brought my 2 dogs, Max and Bella. They're both very friendly and love the outdoors, so I figured they'd enjoy the hike as much as I would. I parked at the trailhead and set off on the main path. Max and Bella jogged ahead, sniffing at just about everything in sight. After a while, the trail began to climb steeply. I was sweating and breathing hard, but Max and Bella seemed fine. That's when I heard someone behind us. I looked back and saw a man in a dark jacket moving at a slow pace but still gaining on us. Something about him made me feel uneasy. He gave me a half-hearted wave and a forced smile. I forced a smile back and quickened my pace. Max and Bella were still leading the way, and I hoped the man would pass us and go on his way, but he didn't. He stayed at a steady distance, close enough to keep me in sight. I decided to stop by a small creek that ran alongside the trail, hoping he would pass. I sat on a large rock and let Max and Bella drink from the water. The man stopped a short distance away, pretending to admire the scenery, but I could see him fiddling with something in his backpack. I couldn't make out what it was. After a few minutes, he approached and said, "Nice dogs you have there." His voice was smooth, but his eyes didn't match the friendliness in his tone. I kept my replies short. He asked if I'd been down this trail before, then began talking about other trails in the area. His suggestions felt random, as if he just wanted to keep me engaged in conversation. My instincts told me it was time to leave. I stood up quickly and began walking again, hoping he'd take the hint. As we passed him, both Max and Bella began to growl at him. They had never growled at anyone before, which only confirmed my unease. He got up and followed us, keeping his distance but never falling behind. I could hear his footsteps on the gravel. He asked if we were headed to a specific spot. I told him we were just on a casual hike without a destination. He continued to follow, asking where I was from and how often I used the trail. As the afternoon wore on, the trail became less populated. He stayed behind me, never interacting with the few people we passed. The woods were getting quieter and it was getting late. I decided to cut my hike short and head back to the trailhead, hoping he would take a different path. Max and Bella stayed close to my side, sensing my anxiety. Finally, I reached a more populated section of the trail, and the man didn't follow past that point. I didn't feel at ease until I was back in the parking lot. When I looked around, he was nowhere to be seen. I drove home feeling grateful nothing worse had happened. That encounter still unsettles me to this day. I still hike, but now I'm more cautious, staying in well-traveled areas and paying attention to anyone who seems out of place. Max and Bella remain my trusted companions, and having them with me always makes me feel safer.
Enjoying the story so far? If creepy tales are your thing, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. And make sure to turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next. Got a scary story of your own? If you have a true horror experience you'd like me to share on the channel, send it to the email address listed in the video description. Your story could be featured in an upcoming episode. Now, back to the horror.
I went to the movies a couple of years ago with a small group of friends. We had the luxury of having the theater to ourselves as no one else showed up for the showing that night. We decided to sit in the top row, right in the middle, so we could have the best view. As we walked up the stairs toward our seats, the movie hadn't started yet, and the theater was dimly lit while the previews played. When we walked down our row in the low light, I thought I saw movement through the window of a small room in the back of the theater, the part where the film gets projected from. I knew that in modern theaters, they don't usually need someone sitting there for the entire movie like they did in the past, so I figured it might just be a worker checking something before the film started. My seat ended up being right below that window, which was about a foot or two above my head. About 15 minutes into the movie, my friends and I began to hear a soft tapping sound coming from behind us, from the film room. It sounded like someone tapping on the glass above our heads. The tapping went on long enough for us to start getting irritated and want to check it out. We got up onto our seats to look inside, but as we stood up, the tapping stopped abruptly. Still curious, we pressed our faces to the glass, but the room was completely dark. We didn't see anyone inside. Maybe it was just part of the machinery playing the movie. Whatever it was, it had stopped, so he sat back down. 5 to 10 minutes later, the tapping started again, this time much louder and faster. It definitely sounded like a person tapping on the glass. We jumped up onto our chairs to look. I pressed my face to the glass and instantly fell backward off my seat in shock. A woman's face was staring back at me from the other side. Annoyed that she was disturbing the movie and acting so strangely, we went to the front desk to complain. We thought she was a theater employee, but the workers told us no one was in that room. They said the two of them were the only staff there that night. Confused, we told them there was definitely a woman in the film room tapping on the glass and watching us. We led them back to the theater, but when they checked, the room was empty. That's when we felt a wave of fear, realizing some unknown woman had been right behind us the whole time. We got our refunds, but we didn't want to stay in that theater a second longer.
Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give the video a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a terrifying tale. See you in the next one.